That's right back, Charlie. That's right.
Because you always use that attitude when like defending. I think it's like.
People, Deluded, I'm back again. Obviously, Arsenal fan settings, we're in high spirits. Lads, how you lot doing, man? In fact, T, you're always here. We've got some new guests and whatnot. You know, again, it's initiation settings. I hope you lot have got your songs ready, man. Stand up on the table now, chatting shit, man. Introduce yourselves, man.
Hey, big up DG, man. I like the new intro as well, bro.
I've had that for time. I thought, let me spin it, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, for real, man. And new graphics and that on there too.
Trying, bro. Trying, man.
Leveling up, man. Just like us, and peaking at the right time in the season. Is that what you're doing?
You're funny still, man. But before we continue, as I said, new guest settings, man. Adrian and Ash, how you lot doing? Let people know about yourselves and what you lot do in terms of content, man. We got to introduce you lot correctly, broskis.
Come on, man. Shout out DG, man. Been watching you for a minute, man.
That.
Big up yourself.
My guy.
But yeah, man, I just do a little bit of content myself, play football, do content, talk the game, love the game, man. So I'm here, man. Pleasure.
Follow him on TikTok, man.
Yeah, man. All on TikTok, Twitter. Yeah, man. Big up yourself, man.
Come on, Adrian, man. I mean, we already know what you do. You know, we see you play five-a-sides. I see you playing against them Oakwood brothers. They chopped off your legs still.
Bro, them man, they're not serious, bro. I can't lie. Like, some of the tackles that they were doing, I don't know if you man have seen the TikToks or the YouTube video, innit? But they're not like normal brothers, innit? Like, the way they were kick us, crazy, innit? But, you know, that's just London, innit? London football, that's how it is.
Duppy know me for frightened, man. They're not like that, man. They're probably, I promise you, they're probably like that.
Character building, bro. The same in the Midlands as well.
Yeah, literally. But yeah, my name's Adrian. I have a YouTube channel with my boys called Five Guys FC. Check out. We do like 7-a-side YouTube videos and football videos, and yeah, it's quite sick. I can't. It's funny as well, very entertaining. I do that. Trying to push the Arsenal stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Arsenal fan. I got my signed Jadon Timber shirt. Little signature.
Got the jerseys. Oh, what you got it signed? Hey. You're a better man than me. Why on God's green earth are you wearing that?
The frame that one still.
Lie, you got to frame that
on the back as well.
Yo, man. That should be on the wall somewhere, bro. I can't even lie to you.
Especially after he scores the Champions League winner in the final. Yo, I don't know, man.
Hey, fingers crossed for that one still.
Everything crossed, man. All right, lads, you know what? First port of call, yeah. How are you lot feeling? Because obviously 15 points been available, 5 games. We've won, innit? Like, do you lot feel we've changed the narrative? Do you lot feel we're still in a title race before we get into the Burnley and West Ham shenanigans? How's everyone feeling? I've offered my thoughts. It's you three, man. Take the floor, talk over each other. Don't feel any sort of way, man.
Me personally, I'm quite optimistic, to be honest. I can't lie. I think the last 4 or 5 games even, have been very, very important to our title race, innit? I do think we're going to be in the title race, and I do think that Arsenal, I feel quite confident as an Arsenal fan that we're going to be able to, especially with the signing of Declan Rice, that we're going to be able to get it done and get through, you know, how does Gary Neville term it? You know, the run-in, the last 10 games of the season.
Time, pause.
The business end of the season, the business end.
Yeah, even that, yeah. Big up Ash, yeah, he's right. Well, that
signing Declan Rice, Raya, and Havertz as well, they're going to help contribute us. I think we're going to look a lot better in the running than we did last year. So I'm quite happy. I'm looking forward to our game on Wednesday as well versus Porto. It's been how many years since we were last in the UCL?
A long time, man. Too many.
Too long. So yeah, I'm excited, and yeah, that's all I have to say. I'm quite excited for it.
Well, Adrian,
the only thing I would say.
Go on, Ash.
The only thing I would say is that we've been here before, and that's the only thing. I don't want Arsenal fans to get carried away and kind of think the 5-0, the 6-0. I think we need to kind of be humble and realize that the last 10 games of the season is the most key bit of the season. So I think we have to be humble, but at the same time, I think with Rice, Havertz, even Trossard, to be fair, Like, what a signing Trossard is.
Big
Like,
him
we
up.
don't really talk about him because he wasn't big money, but what Trossard's done for us, I think we got to big up Trossard, man.
You're bang on the money with Trossard, man. How optimistic are you, lot, though, about winning the league title? Like, if we had to grade it out of 10, I'm not gonna lie, I'm 0 in it. Like, it's nothing to do with Arsenal. Because you got City and Liverpool. I don't think we could do it. I want to be wrong. Maybe I've been hurt too many times to be putting my heart on the line. Like, everything's going right. You know, we're in form. We're doing what we need to do. But
DG, when I was last here talking to you with Sammy, remember what I was saying to you about Man City in terms of their defense? Their defense is not looking as strong. And I think a big reason for that is because they don't have the same amount of squad depth that they had last season. Missing the likes of Ilkay Gundogan in that middle, who's partnered up with Rodri a lot. John Stones, who's played in there for a lot. They're missing that. Whereas Arsenal at the moment, we are showing that. We are showing that we are defensively stable. We're able to come up against even the best teams in the league and limit them into chances and shots on our goal. And now what we've really been in the last couple of weeks is us taking a lot more pride in our defending, staying a lot more concentrated throughout the 95 minutes plus minutes that we're playing in a game, not letting a moment, celebrating every single moment. I know to the fans and rivals watching, it's like, what are you doing celebrating that Arsenal cringe? No, that means a lot because that's all about instilling the mentality of we want to be at our top best and keep the standards throughout the game. Even towards the end of that Burnley game when Brownhill had a shot, I think, and there was a miscommunication between Nelson and Smith Rowe. I see people on Twitter saying that, you should have saw Nelson's face because he knows he's going to face the wrath of Arteta. That is the type of standards that we need to keep building at Arsenal, man. And I feel like we are performing like that. And I mentioned about peaking at the right time. A lot of questions were posed on our attack in the beginning of the season. I feel like we found something at the moment. It will change. We still got players to come back fit and they will have a big part in the running. But Trossard in that middle, I feel like we're seeing a much better Havertz even with that. And I've praised Havertz. I've been one of the people who've been defending him over the time. Even on this channel, we're talking to you, DG. But I feel like we're seeing a better Havertz who's making a lot more runs and he's being found. He's been making the runs anyway, but he was being found now because Trossard's passing. I mean, I rated Trossard. Me and DG have had chats about Trossard and that before. And
I still think he's overrated, but he's a great player, man.
My thing with Trossard is that I feel like with Trossard, he's a good player, but I've also seen games where he's not played that well. I mean, he's been very, very quiet.
Would you say that's because he's been playing in that midfield role? I don't feel that suits him as much as he looked good in pre-season against Barcelona, but I remember the Wolves game. I remember him playing against Fulham in the beginning of the season, and he was awful in that one. But when he plays as that striker, as that false nine, when he drops in deep and then Havertz is able to make them runs, I've been surprised. And I'm going to ask you, man, this. Like, did you ever see Trossard with his passing sort of like this, playing perfect?
Yeah, man. Come on, man. Trossard's always been wavy. He's playing with
last season, Trossard got 11 assists in January.
Yeah, he's a technically sound player, man.
Yeah.
He can create, and his passing is excellent. There's so many passes that even in myself, I play football, I've seen Trossard make, and I'm just like, I'm gonna try to add that to my game. Trossard is a quality player. Genuinely.
Do you know what I think it is with like Trossard and Havertz now as well? I think we're trusting them more. I think like we're actually trusting Trossard and we're saying, you know what, Trossard, you make the run. Whereas in the beginning, we was a bit, not me personally, but some fans was a bit 50-50. And I think the same with Havertz now. He was making them runs always, but we wasn't trusting him. And now we're giving him the ball, and I think that's what's helping us.
Yeah, I agree. I do think, and part of it is also that I feel like when I'm watching Trossard, I don't know how you guys felt about him last season. I thought he was amazing last season, but you could also kind of tell that he wasn't in the first starting 11. When I watch Trossard now, he fits right in and is one of our best players. Like, he was still brilliant last season, but it's just the way it seems like everyone's, like you just said, trusting him. Everyone's giving the ball more. You can tell that his confidence is quite high, and he literally feels like he belongs in the 11 now. When Jesus comes back, though, I'm not sure if I'm Trossard or Jesus.
See, this is what I was going to ask you, lot. Like, is Trossard first choice number 9 now? Because arguably, you know, he's doing what Jesus does at this moment in time. He looks more of a potent goal scorer than Jesus. You know, I haven't told his stats. So that's what I'm saying. Is he the number 1 now? And then Jesus, you just take your chance when it comes. Is Trossard our new number 9?
For now, yeah. I think you've just got to play it like that in terms of form, and what he because if the difference with Trossard and I'd say Eddie Nketiah, you said it, DG. He's offering what Jesus offers to us in terms of dropping deep, going out wide, linking up,
like, I
allowing
think against West Ham,
Martinelli.
he was quality, man. I think against Burnley, he was quite fortunate to score, if I'm honest with you, man. He had a good game, but he didn't have
about
a
the
shooting
chances he got into, DG.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm rating it, because part of the reason to miss them chances is you're arriving. And obviously, in this Mikel Arteta system, for me, it's going to sound crazy, but it's almost like goals are the least important for a striker, or they would probably be in the 6-yard area and they wouldn't kind of be sacrificing themselves for the Kai Havertz's, the Sakas, etc., etc. And that's what I like about Trossard. I mean, it's you can't be an Arsenal fan and not like Trossard. I mean, the man's technically sound, plays better with better players. Do you think he goes through like little inconsistent runs of form? But right now, he's one of our better players, and I feel sometimes throughout a season, you kind of have to play on that, really. Obviously, we're here by choice. Well, not really choice. We kind of have to do what we have to do with the injuries. But I think Trossard is doing his thing, man. Where you like with Havertz then? Like, because he said he likes playing in the pockets today. He sat there and said, I'm a versatile player. And I hear all of that. I think you need to be versatile. But, you know, you look at Trossard. He can play as a 10, sometimes an 8 and a winger. But you know what he is. What is Kai Havertz in an Arsenal shirt for you lot? And do you lot feel he's settled? And do you lot also feel he's turned the corner in his Arsenal career?
For me, for me, I think in the beginning, I think Havertz almost comes with a stigma. He comes with almost the lazy play. He don't really care. And I think that because he's so hot and cold, it's hard. He makes it hard for himself to be liked, if that makes sense. But I think when he's trusted and he's in that kind of, not an 8, but not a 10, but that ghost position, I think
you said
it
there,
works.
ghost. That's a good way of articulating that.
I think it works, and I think that for as long as we're trusting him in that ghost position, I think that Havertz has to start.
It's true.
Fair. Adrian, you was going to say something if I didn't cut anyone off.
I was going to say that I think I've even heard you say it before, that with Havertz, it's like you can tell that he's a good player and he's good technically, but sometimes I don't know if he lacks a bit of like the aggression in his game to take more risks. Like I feel like he doesn't take enough risks. Sometimes he can just be keeping it very, very simple, just moving it side to side, but not actually trying to put the authority in your hands to try and either score or get an assist or do some sort of action, either whether it's go through, try to dribble the ball and try to beat a man more. I just feel he just lacks that bit that I look at some of our other players. I've seen Smith Rowe take the game by the scruff of the neck and just go and get a goal for us to put us 1-0 up or 2-1 up, whatever. I remember his game versus Chelsea last 2 seasons ago now, the goal he scored on his left foot in the later half of the game. That's one of my favorite Smith Rowe goals. And I was in our top 4 running as well. So I'm not, can Havertz do that for us when it matters at the Etihad? I don't know, because seen him score some goals, but he looks like a good player, and I do want him to continue starting.
Scored in Champions League finals.
Adrian and Ash, this is what I was going to say. Havertz's best performances have come in the bigger games. Man City, Community Shield, Liverpool, Newcastle away. Even what Havertz is, and I feel like a lot of fans struggle with this, and even I've struggled to kind of pull it into ways, but he's what Arteta wants him to be, whatever the occasion is. If he wants him to be a striker that's going to be, you can play long balls too, just battle up there, be your target man. He can do that. If you want him to be your late runner into the box and just be like a second striker, like he was against Burnley, he can do that. If you want him to really put like a sort of like defensive shift and really help with the press, he'll do that as well. And I think what Adrian mentioned there is he needed to show that more purpose and aggression and taking risks in his game. I think he's done that a little bit more now. I think when you look with the Saka goal, him playing that pass out to Ødegaard with a bit more fizz into it and taking that riskier option.
Can't believe he nutmegged and scored with his weaker peg as well against Burnley, man. Crazy.
We didn't see that at the beginning. We didn't see that. Do you remember? I think it was a Fulham game where he tried to play like a wall pass back to Martinelli or Rice, and he gave it straight back to Fulham. The whole crowd groaned, and you kind of felt...
Even Arteta was critical of him. If you're talking about the game at the Emirates,
yes, that's the one at the Emirates. But we've seen him grow, and sometimes as fans, if we don't see someone have an instant impact, like the shirt that Adrian's wearing right now, we saw him make that instant impact, but we didn't see that with Havertz. And we can kind of be quick to judge, whereas we need to let players settle. And I think he's settled now in a very difficult role. He's probably got the most, I know a lot of players, it's kind of big thing to say that, but he's probably got the most advanced role in this Arsenal team, you know, in terms of how much that you need to have an understanding in what he needs to do.
Yeah, Havertz ain't the guy for the build-up play, man. Just running behind, man.
Exactly. But in
I'm not
terms
sure,
of advance, in terms of complicated, in terms of how it changes each game, like what are you expected to do? Are you going to go out wide with Martinelli? Are you going to go inside in the box? Sometimes you'll see him pop up on the right with Saka. So he has a lot of responsibility in that role too, and he's starting to get to grips with that, and that's where we're starting to see improvements in his game. Yeah, he can still level up. You can say that with every player, to be honest. And he still needs to build a bit more of a connection with Martinelli and get him involved, so he's not as isolated as a bit more. But that's the next part of his game, and I'm sure that will come.
Thing is that I do agree with you, and with most of the things you said. I do think Havertz is a good player, and I do want him to continue starting. And I also understand that with him, obviously following what just happened with him at Chelsea for the last 3 years, him scoring in the Champions League final and then suffering moments of poor confidence. I'm just worried that, because I'm also thinking as well, when Thomas Partey comes back, is he going to go straight back into start 11? Is Havertz going to be starting then as well? I want Havertz to continue playing. I like him. But I just don't think that I'll start, unless, I think the only place in which he actually could remain a starting position in our squad is probably up front. And then we have to be competing with Trossard and Jesus for that. I think in midfield, I think we have better midfielders than him. I wouldn't even say he's a midfielder, to be honest. But I do think he's a good player. I think he's more of that second striker role. You would think about the 2000s, the second striker behind, like in a 4-4-2. I feel like Havertz fits that more than how football is now. I think his role, that the 10, the Van Duter that I always see on Twitter all the time, it's a bit difficult to play with.
Twitter experts, man.
Yeah, and I just feel like at Arsenal as well, we know that we have so many players that are so injury prone. Like, I'm getting so sick and tired of Partey, Tomiyasu, Jesus as well. How can we build a whole squad? How can we build a starting 11 and try and go for the Premier League when we have 3 or 4 players that you would say that are in your starting 11 that are very, very injury prone? It's frustrating, and then because of that, it all then, like, it means we're now starting to have to play Havertz out of position. Yeah, he's been looking better in the last couple of games, but is he looking better, or is it more Odegaard's change in his role has had a better, like a more positive influence on the team?
You said
I'm
it
not
there,
sure,
and that's my problem with Havertz. I feel Havertz is a very delicate case for us to kind of talk about. I think a lot of luxuries that I and a lot of us give him, if there were other players, we might not. I do think he looks settled. I do think he's multifunctional. But for me, I think there is a hole in our left hand side, and I think it's been reflected with Xhaka leaving and Havertz not being a like for like replacement or better. I do think Odegaard's dropping deep and doing well, and if this is the image that Mikel Arteta wants, fair play. But I just feel everybody creatively with Kai Havertz has to do a lot more. I hear the third man runs and things like that, and I just don't know what you are. So if you're an adaptable player, a versatile player, that's cool. But I think in the summer we need to find that 8. Really, I do think I agree with what T said in that. Typically, Havertz plays better in the big games. I do think he has that match winner stuff. He doesn't score many, but he does score. And I do think he's a good team player. I think had we have bought him for significantly less than 65 million, there'd be a lot of a different conversation said about him. But I need to see a bit more, man. I think he's come a long way. I don't quite think he's Premier League flop of the season, but it's an interesting one, man. How do you lot feel about Kirill now?
I think I'm not too convinced, but I think, again, he's a confidence man as well. I think exactly like you were saying with Havertz, I think that once he kind of feels like the crowd are onto him for every mistake, or he's not giving you that 8 out of 10, I think he kind of drops his head. And I think to go for the title, we need better. But I think right now, with the confidence and the form that he's on, I think that, I'll take him for now, but I think next season that definitely has to improve.
Yeah. Do you not feel harsh that he's judged as a left back? Because that's a lot of things said, a lot in pre-season. I know it's pre-season, but a lot of people saying he looks better in that inverted role than a certain Scottish fullback. Now he's kind of getting to hide behind the fact that I'm not a fullback. I do think he's looked more confident. I do think he does look a lot more comfortable. But at the same time, again, applaud him. He was involved against Liverpool. I think he won the header. He won a corner against West Ham, which led to a goal. And obviously quick thinking from a throw-in for Havertz. But I do think the bar is on the floor with a lot of the praise. And I do think, not that it's OTT, but it is a bit OTT. And I think with the emphatic victories we've had this season in the last 2 games, and I rate the team that's gone out there, that backdrop of our players not being fit or key players not being fit, as you lot have all alluded to, I think fans aren't really deep in it, because Mikel Arteta said we've got one of the finished squads. If we are to win a Prem, we need these players back. And I don't know if it's sustainable, the performance levels of a couple of those quote-unquote squad players, man.
Yeah, I hear you with Kivior. That's my thing with him, because you can still see he's clearly not comfortable playing in left back in this left back role. We have simplified it for him and given Ben White some more of that inverting and being extra man in midfield. But he looks like a better defender than what we get with Zinchenko in terms of when he's a bit more of a natural defender in that way. He still looks a bit shaky to me when he's 1v1 on the outside. He can get beaten. He hasn't really had much of a test, and that's kind of good on him as well, because if in Premier League football, we all of us have played football here, Sunday League. You find the weakest player and you'll attack them all game.
Yeah, and that's Zinchenko 9 times out of 10. It could be Kirill.
And you know that. But with Kivior, the fact that we haven't seen that is a good sign. It is a good sign, because he's not.
You know what I'm worried about with that?
What's that?
I don't want to see that when it's too late.
No, of course. But against Kudus, he came up against Kudus, and in that first 5-10 minutes, it looked like Kudus could have had him in that game. And then everyone knows how good that guy is. And in that game, he locked it off. He got one. I think he made one interception and kicked out for a corner, and you saw the confidence begin to grow. And he got a nice high five from Gabriel. And as you said, he is a confidence player. He's getting there. I still think long term, his position is going to be in that centre back role, maybe as a Gabriel sort of a rotation player, because Gabriel really doesn't get rotated often. So someone in there, but it'd be more of a backup in that sense rather than playing him at left back. He's the third choice left back, essentially, guys. Maybe fourth if you include Timber, Zinchenko, Tomiyasu.
Where would he be in the centre back pairing then, T? Like in the pecking order then? Because if Tomiyasu and Timber are fit, would Mikel Arteta draw, again, disregarding the fact that they're fullbacks, would Arteta draw for them before Kirill if it was a must-win game on the weekend?
I actually think he would go for Kivior or if Gabriel was out, because we know how Arteta likes to have that balance with the left foot on that side. And you can kind of see it when we're in build-up playing, especially when I watch other teams like Man United when they're playing and their build-up, when they don't have Lisandro Martinez, who's excellent in build-up but also is left-footed. You can see how it really hinders them against a press. So I think he would favour Kivior in that sense, and we have seen him come in for like Gabriel for the odd game, like I know against Fulham and then Brentford in the cup. But so I do think he would up for him in that over on the left side over the likes of Timber and Tomiyasu, DG.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Where are we at with David Raya, lads? Because obviously, he came into, I think Mikel Arteta is a smart man. I don't think he would have, not considered this, but I think he didn't necessarily predict the noise that was going to go around Raya and Ramsdale. I don't think he helped himself with his comments. I do think it was an unnecessary sort of thing with the fans, and that anything Raya does bad, you want Ramsdale. Ramsdale comes in front of a shaky back five in the cup. A lot is said about Ramsdale, but I do think Raya looks at home, man. You're seeing his distribution. Again, he hasn't really been tested in goal, which is also a good thing, but it's something to worry about. But what happened there with Ash? I bring him back here. Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but he's back. But yeah, as I was saying, like Raya looks a lot more comfortable. And as much as I like Ramsdale, there's no need for me to be talking about it. Like the game's kind of the game. But where you look at with Raya's performances recently, then?
To be honest, I'm very happy with David Raya. I think that both Raya and Ramsdale are both very, very good keepers. But obviously, Arteta has his preference, and I'm an Arteta fan, and I've seen what Raya can do. And I'm more than happy for him to just see out the rest of the season. Unfortunately, we're out of the FA Cup, so Ramsdale's probably not going to get that many minutes. But to be honest, that's football. So I'm happy with Raya. Arteta's happy with Raya. And it seems like all the noise is quieting down. So I have nothing to say, to be honest, on the situation. I do feel like, obviously, that's the media of how whenever an English international star, whenever something's going on with them, the English media is going to make it like it's a huge problem. And everyone's obviously paid into that. But me personally, I've never really had too much. I just always thought it was quite obvious that Arteta has a certain way of playing, and it seems like Arteta believes that Raya is the way for him to play that football that he wants to play. So I'm happy with David Raya.
Yeah, man. I don't think anyone can say anything different, man. I think Arteta has shown he's made several unpopular decisions, with Ramsdale and Tierney, with keeping Xhaka, with alienating Aubameyang, and, actually at one point, I know it's injuries, but Smith Rowe being one of the first names on the team sheet and then being dropped. Martinelli under Mikel Arteta wasn't always a week in, week out starter. Neither was Saliba. We all know that story. So I do think there is a method to Mikel Arteta's madness. And at the end of the day, You know, if we want to be the team that wins the Prem and stuff, Arteta might get things wrong, but I think we have to get used to these unpopular decisions. You know, one of you mentioned England internationals, and I think Benjamin White, although Southgate probably ain't going to call him up, I think he's probably become one of the most underrated players. I thought it was Big Gabriel at centre half. Now I think it's Benjamin White, man. I think, obviously, when you win 6-0, you're not really going to praise a defender, in it. But what have you lot made of Benjamin recently?
I've been seeing him invert into the middle, and I'm impressed. And Ben White, I've always been a Ben White fan, but I do feel like he is definitely 100% underrated. I always think back to that performance versus Manchester City this season. He was one of our best players that day.
Doku's still in his pocket, man. He ain't been the same since.
Yeah, I am a huge Ben White fan, so yeah, I think he's very, very criminally underrated for sure, 100%.
Oh, do you know one thing with Ben White, and it goes back to the Liverpool game. I mean, when I was talking about the team would always try and find its weakest link. They didn't actually try and attack Zinchenko in that game. They tried to attack Ben White and put it down that left side, in particular with Luis Diaz.
Burnley tried to do that, didn't bang.
Exactly, and he's cutting them out. What the only bit of concern I've had with Ben White is when he's defending 1v1s earlier in the season, bit too passive, standing off a bit too far, needs to close the distance. He seems to be a lot more refreshed now, and he's doing it. So yeah, man, talking about complicated roles, and this is it with this Arsenal team and what Arteta's built, and really why he's been so methodical in each and every player. Ben White, it's almost like positionless football. How we play, that where he goes, how exactly like 10 midfielders. Well, actually, we say 11 because we've got a Raya in goal who himself said he's like a number 10. So it is crazy how comfortable he looks in whatever you ask him to do, in going inverting, going to that midfield, playing in that right sort of centre mid role, rotating with Ødegaard in there. Yeah, outstanding Ben White is. And DG, you're right when it says about underrated, because he doesn't get his flowers enough. Southgate doesn't give it him. You don't hear rival fans even talking about him, even praising him. If you did a combined 11 with a rival fan and their right back, if they got a half decent right back, they're putting him over Ben White. And Ben White's performing in this team. That is what here competing with the best teams in Europe, you'd say, with Liverpool and Man City, or one of at least. So yeah, Ben White, man, crazy good this season, and especially since the winter break.
The man's been playing 100%. Out of his skin, man. Go on, Ash.
I think that's just Arsenal, though. You know, I think that people don't want to give us our credit, because if you put Ben White in that Man City team, people will be talking about him. Oh my God, look what Pep's done with Ben White. He gets up and down. He's in the midfield. But because it's us, people don't want to give us our credit. And it's like, as Arsenal fans, we just have to understand that. We know that no matter what player we have, people are going to down talk them. So, but Ben White, for me, is solid. I think he is, if not our most important player. Obviously, we've got Declan Rice, but I think Ben White, watching him week in, week out, he'll be a big miss if he was injured.
Massive miss, because on current form, obviously Tomiyasu, I love the guy, but he's not fit. And when he gets fit, how long is he going to stay fit? Timber, we love him. You know, you got his shirt on, but he's really irrelevant because he's not fit. I think Benjamin White doesn't get his flowers. As I said, he's not really the most glamorous. I know he's got technical level, but he's not the most glamorous of fullbacks. Obviously, in this day and age where Reece James gets a lot of clout, Trent gets a lot of clout, Kyle Walker's put in a lot of service for for his club. But I think once you get past them three, I think it's debatable Benjamin White is involved. And obviously people forget the man can play as a centre half, he can invert, he can play as a right back, he's quite durable. I think he's quite slept on, really. But it's like what Ash is saying, it's like it comes with the territory. I know Arsenal fans on social media are crazy, but I think that is a reason as to why our players ain't rated. Speaking of not being rated, do you lot feel Saka gets a bit of a twofold question? Do you lot feel Saka is underrated by rival fans or just in the world of football? And do you lot think he's world class? Difficult questions.
World class, world class,
The thing is, if we're looking at some of the wingers in the world, there's not many that are better than Saka. You got Mbappe, Vinicius, Salah. After that, you're starting to Rodrigo, obviously, and after that, you're starting to think.
Even Rodrigo, I'm just being devil's advocate. He's lit, but is he better than Saka? Like legitimately, I'm asking. He's Brazilian and that. He missed
so he's better than Rodrigo.
100%.
I ain't seen much from Rodrigo just yet. Shameless.
I think it's like here. Like I think they're probably all around. They're probably
both bias, man.
Probably both around the same level, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's world class yet, but I do really think that we're probably right on the line of him being world class.
Why? Because I want to hear your thoughts, and then Ash, because Ash said he is world class. You said he's not, and I'm a bit on the fence, man. So yeah, go on, Adrian. Man.
I feel like we are obviously what Saka's done is incredible. and he's one of my favorite footballers to watch. I love him, yeah. But the thing is with Saka is that obviously we've won the FA Cup and we won the Community Shield, but I want to see the big trophies and I want to see Saka deliver that. And I feel like it'll be much easier for me to say he's definitely world class, despite how, by the way, I think he's amazing. And I just don't want to be too quick to throw the label world class. But if we're talking about players that are basically borderline world class, I will still say Saka is.
So a double whammy question then, yeah. Go on. But like, what world class wingers are there then? Because you said Saka's not.
Mbappe,
fair.
Vinicius,
fair.
Rodrigo.
Is Rodrigo world class? Yeah, like,
nah.
Yeah, he's won Champions League and he scored some vital goals.
I would say Rodrigo's world class. I would say Rodrigo's
I rate him. I'm just being devil's advocate. Like, how does he qualify for that? Like, because Vinicius standout man, Rodrigo's done his thing. But if he's getting that at this moment, surely being devil's advocate, Bukayo Saka can get in there. Bearing in mind, he's put up the numbers for about three seasons or so.
I think it's that after I say Rodrigo, I said the next name I would say is Saka. So if you think that Rodrigo's not better than Saka, then I understand why you would say he's world class. But me personally, I think I'm not no order, by the way. Mbappe, Vinny, probably Mbappe is the best. Mbappe, Vinny, Rodrigo, then I'll probably say Saka. So, and I don't think that there's any winger better than him other than those 4 names I just listed.
Probably Mo Salah is. Oh no, you said Salah.
Oh, Mo Salah, yes, Salah, sorry, as well.
And that's about it. Ash, you said he is world class.
Yeah, I think that we got to start giving Saka his credit, man. I think the whole Rodrigo Saka comparison, I think that Real Madrid carry Rodrigo and Saka carries Arsenal. And I think obviously it's Real Madrid and it's Arsenal. We can't compare them. But at the same time, I think Saka's numbers, his consistency, I think what more does he have to do to be world class? I think if you put Saka in that Real Madrid team, you would call him, I'm not going to say Salah, but you would kind of speak about them on the same level. I think if you put Rodrigo in the Arsenal team, you might kind of dim him a little bit down. And I think that's the big difference between Rodrigo and Saka. So for me, yeah, he's got to win trophies, but that's more of a team thing. But I think Saka's individual performances, I think, for 3 years, I think we have to start calling them world class. We have to.
Most definitely.
Most
definitely world class, because teams always set out a plan for Saka. You see it at each game and he still produces, and that's what world class players do. Teams don't
100%.
necessarily. I watched a bit of Rodrigo in the Liga, and he kind of thrives off of the talent around him, off of the world class talent that is there, and being able to be an extra man, not have that sort of pressure. Of course, there's pressure in the Real Madrid, sir, but you're not the talisman, you're not the main guy. Even the crucial goals that he scored didn't start those games. And he's the one who Valverde would start on the right wing in these certain occasions. He's got a bit of a different role now, kind of playing as a striker, more as a wide forward. But who's the one who's getting all the headlines and all the attention? Vinicius and Bellingham with that. Saka has that attention and pressure, and he's carried that internationally as well, up against arguably one of the teams in recent years in France. And they spoke about him, and you seen him those big occasions and rise. And I've seen that. And I hear what you're saying, Adrian, with the trophies thing, because that's what we need to really do now to really cement it, so we can have something to really back it. But from an individual player thing, world class, because people don't look at Kane and say he's not world class, because he consistently produced numbers throughout his career, being the best player in Tottenham, but won no trophies, didn't really get near to any apart from the Champions League final. But that's what I'm saying in terms of Saka. Like, he's got it, and he's going to do, whether it's at Arsenal or not, I believe he will be. He's gonna win trophies, and he's gonna be the man for it.
Facts.
Maybe I would label him as a world-class talent, as in he has the ability to. Obviously he's still quite young. He's only 22. Literally in my year.
Which is scary, man.
So I would say it's the world-class talent, and I just has to deliver the trophy to be officially labeled as a world-class player.
Fair enough. Where you lot on with Saka? Because a lot of things that I said with Bukayo is like he's not entertaining. Now, do I think Bukayo Saka is the most entertaining winger I've ever seen? No. But I think you could argue if he really is boring and limited and he's getting maximum resources out of it and he's been consistent for however many years, And as T said, you know, people are tripling up against him. He's a marked man. Surely he should be praised a lot more because there's a lot of people that can do a million skills, but they're not effective. As we all know, watching football, there's not really wingers like that. It's all inside forwards. And I think Saka is one of the best current examples of an inside forward. And I think had he have been at another club, you know, we're talking about 100 million plus to sign the lad, if I'm completely honest. I think there's always the goalpost move with Bukayo, man.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, and I agree.
Which is quite jarring, man. So, yeah, man. Is there any other world-class players in Arsenal squad? If it is debatable, then, or is there any people scratching the surface?
Declan Rice.
I think there's, for me, I think there's two. Maybe not.
Declan Rice and
I think
Odegaard.
Odegaard.
Saliba is Saliba not world class?
Saliba, Odegaard, Declan Rice, along with Saka. I think them three are the ones that I would say if anyone's got, or four have got claims, I would say them. I think Declan Rice, unpopular one. If I was labeling someone world class right now, I'd give it Declan Rice, potentially Saliba. I think Odegaard's quite slept on when it comes to all of that, and the man's been putting on clinics for a while now. Really, definitely the closest thing we got to Ozil.
I think. Do you guys think it's better out of Saka and Odegaard? Because I actually always change my mind.
What though? When you say better, what are we talking about?
In general, who would you say is a better player, Saka or Odegaard?
I mean, Saka's my guy. It's Odegaard, man. Saka's IC3 in that, so I'll say him, but Odegaard, man, he's got the football intelligence and the rest of it, blood. Like, I love players like Odegaard, so I'd say Odegaard slightly. Like, I think Saka would probably say Odegaard's better than him. Imagine playing keep ball or one touch with Odegaard. It's a myth, man. I'm not saying Saka.
If you're talking like, because if you're talking like football IQ, I think Odegaard's probably one of the top IQ footballers in the Premier League, let alone just in Arsenal. I think Saka, he's not that kind of a player. I think Saka, as you said, DG, he's very effective. Like, players set out to mark him before the game. They know he wants to go on his left, but they still can't stop it. And I think that's what separates Saka from... literally, like Arjen Robben, you know he's going to try cutting, and you can't stop him. And the good thing with Saka, he's not afraid to go on his right and cross the ball.
And shoot, actually, with that right peg, man. He's getting a couple of real screamers across the last 2 years with that right foot. He should use it more often, man.
The difference I'd say between Saka and Odegaard is I 100% agree with what everyone said. Is who would I rather have in a big moment?
Saka's more likely to win you the game, but Odegaard might play that pass before it, though.
It's true. Yeah, exactly. Like, and I'm not disrespecting Odegaard in this, because I've defended him as well when people do that. He doesn't turn up in big games. No, he definitely does. It's just insert the ones that he doesn't turn up in. Or
you wouldn't want to be in a club with a fight with Odegaard, but he's our guy, man.
Yeah, exactly. But Saka in those big moments.
I saw Odegaard at St. James Park last season.
True. Yeah, he's a real one. Like, Odegaard's lit, but... For me, I think, you know, it's a bit mad because the way Odegaard plays and the position he is, and obviously we're in a team where we haven't got a focal point that's getting 20-odd goals. And Odegaard showed me last season you can get goals. I've never thought Odegaard's a player that has to live or die by scoring goals. I think he just keep doing what you're doing, the pressing that Arteta wants, dropping deep, just that football IQ, poetic stuff. But you've shown me you can get goals. You're in that position to get goals. And you've done it in it. So I would like to see that, but I don't think Odegaard gets his flowers, man. But you lot take the floor, man. This ain't about me. This is about you three that I've invited, man.
100% with Odegaard, man. Like, it's watching him play in the last few weeks is a delight. He's an entertainer for the fans in terms of what he can do with the football, the nutmegs, the skills that he can do. Like, jaw dropping sometimes. Pause. But I just need, this is it with Odegaard. If we can see this now and have him performing like this to the remainder of the season, it's going to be a difficult side to sort, that right-hand side, because we have seen it a little bit go a bit stale, quiet at some points. And I think that's more to do with the amount of responsibility that they've had. But when we spoke about Trossard, he's kind of alleviated some of that pressure by being another creative and goal-scoring outlet in the middle and who can drift over to that left-hand side. So that right side now with Odegaard, he makes it tick, dropping in deep. I think Adrian spoke about this in terms of his role that's been changed in this team, dropping in deep, being involved within the build-up. So he's getting a much more feel of the game, not leaving him on that last line for him to just be a final action type player. Because, DG, you said it, we don't judge this guy on goals and assists. Probably his best game of the season came in a loss, 2-0 at home to West Ham. That was unbelievable, the clinic he put on in that game there and the chances he was putting for Saka and Jesus. But yeah, man, since that, he's come back and he's been on fire. Since the injury, I'd say, because he was obviously carrying that sort of injury where he had an ankle injury when he got concussion, missed the Newcastle game. Man, yeah, Odegaard doesn't get his flowers. And if you're talking world class, I would say he is too.
I think he's scratching the surface, man. I think I can't lie. I think Odegaard's one of the most entertaining footballers in the Premier League. I'll be very honest with that. I think people pay to watch him. I think sometimes his footballing IQ is actually on that level too high for his teammates, because some of the assists he should have got, them scoop assists and whatnot. It's like his teammates can't kind of clock what's going on. So I got a lot of time for Odegaard. I didn't agree with the captain thing necessarily, but he's doing the business. We got him for 30 million quid, bro. Saka for free, Odegaard for what, 30 odd million quid. Martinelli cost 6. Our club hasn't always done the right options, but when we do, look at the fruits of our labor. 30 for Saliba. Exactly.
DG, you've just said it there. We've essentially got 4 world-class players for less than 200 mil.
This is it. And obviously, look at us effective signing in Trossard versus, had we have got Mudryk. Mudryk might have banged for Arsenal. It could have been completely different luck, but it's looking shaky, really. And that's the problem with Arsenal. It's like we do 4 or 5 good things, and then we're left wanting a bit more, boys.
Yeah, I feel like for me, the January transfer window not signing a player was a big L, to be honest. I think we really did that midfield, especially because I said it before already. Thomas Partey's unreliability. I think I can't say that in the running. I actually can't say 100% that in the running Thomas Partey is going to be there and is going to help us get through the big moments. The SCI
this is it.
Old Trafford, because he might even be injured. But at the time when the time comes,
he'll be back for Everton last game of the season, man. I've given up on Partey. I can't lie. I love the guy. I think he's lit, but I've given up, man. Yeah. I'm even starting to get there with Gabriel Jesus. A bit extreme, and he's converted me to that. Like, I really started thinking it's like, I want our players to be available. You've got Saliba. Obviously, Saliba had the mad thing, but 9 times out of 10, Saliba, Saka, Declan Rice, these men are fit. Obviously, I'm not saying everyone's going to be fit all the time. We need to be able to cope with these guys not being fit, or we need them to be fit. You look at the Liverpool players historically when they were fighting for the title. Them man are fit. City the same. And if players are injured, Kevin De Bruyne comes out. There's 1, 2. They're gonna miss him, but there's 1, 2 players that come in. That's why I'm so critical of all we've done is praise Arteta, right, for how he assembles the squad and stuff. That's why I have a hard time accepting when he says we've got one of the finished squads in the league, because you must have sat there in May last year and knew this would happen to a degree. It's crazy.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like you can't really blame a whole season on injuries. Obviously, because for me, I think football injuries are part of football. So yeah, for that in the transfer window. So if you haven't done the preparation, like for example, Arsenal didn't want to sign. Obviously we were struggling with FFP, but we didn't. Yeah, at the end of the day, we did not sign a midfielder that we thought that we all know that we needed for this right running. So when the time comes, Thomas Partey is injured again, maybe God forbid Declan Rice or Odegaard is they're injured. I don't have faith in us to actually get through and win the Premier League. That's my only worry. It's about the injuries, and we didn't do the preparation. We didn't do what we need to do in the January transfer window. So if it happens, it happens. I'm still optimistic. I still think we can, but I think we're going to need.
Why do you think we can?
I think that in terms of the players we have, and in terms of how we're playing right now, I would say me personally, I think we're a better team than Liverpool. I think we're a better midfield than Liverpool. I think man for man, we're better than Liverpool when we went to them head to head as well. 4 points this season. We beat them at the Emirates and we drew at Anfield. Same again last season. I beat them at the Emirates and then drew at Anfield. I overall think we're better than Liverpool, but I can't say for sure that we're better than City. That said, we beat City this season, so I know. I think it's quite close. Yeah, I think it's quite close between Arsenal, Liverpool, and City. I would say we can actually, especially with how the running is, them having to go to Anfield. I do think we can win the league if we have everyone fit, but that's a big if. It's a huge
if. This is what
I'm
saying. The if tick.
I can't say if. I can either say, are we going to do it or are we not going to do it? And I'll say we can do it with luck. That's all I'm going to say. I think that's how I feel about it.
Make it all luck, man. I hear that, and that's the thing, man. It's just, for me, it will come down to the squad. I don't know if we'll learn our lessons from last year, that, where we went wrong. And I just feel unfortunately, the last 2 games have been great. We've won. I'm taking nothing away from it off the backdrop of, how the turn of the year has been. But if I just look at it without my emotions and things like that, if we're trying to win a league, you should be beating Burnley. They can't buy it. They can't buy a win. You should be beating Burnley. West Ham last time, going into that game, the last time they won in the league was when they played us. So I'm not saying no one should be excited or optimistic and stuff, by all means. But it's like, when I look at it harshly, we should. And I don't know how you lot feel, but for me, I don't know, you know, the form and and all the optimism that comes with it. I'm gassed. I'm happy. Let's keep going. We're definitely a long way from where we was in December, but I don't feel there's too many times we can drop points. I feel the only kind of game we can kind of even consider that is the Etihad, and I actually think that we kind of need to win. Obviously, we still got to play Newcastle, still got Brentford, still got Brighton away, still got City, still got Chelsea. Bro, there's some tough games. Pardon?
You have to go.
This is what I'm saying. And what's the squad even going to look like? Injuries can happen at any stretch of the imagination. You know, what's a bit weird is when you look at probably I would say City, Liverpool, two of our best results of the season. I'd say in terms of a complete performance, I'd throw West Ham, maybe Burnley in there. We've done these 3-4 games without our strongest squad. This is why I'm saying we need a squad. So I just don't know. And I think we have this element of capitulation. Like you look at the 4 points dropped against Fulham. We're our own worst enemies at times, just like last season. Like on the face of it, I said it before, there's no shame in losing to that treble winning City side, generational Pep, all these things. And we weren't expected to be in a title race. But I just feel when we was there and we could control certain controllables, we effed it up ourselves. Obviously, everything's highlighted with the Southampton, West Ham and Liverpool games where we drop points from winning positions. But you look at the Brentford draw, you look at numerous silly points. And I am being very harsh on my team. I'm being quite critical. But as you lot know, the world, and football mirrors the world or society, is very harsh. The world don't care. We ain't won a league since 20 odd years and these are young players and Arteta's young. They don't care about that. And these are the things when we're not having these conversations for me, and I feel we're at the maximum in terms of our depth, our tactics, ability to cope with injuries. I will talk with Chess about winning the league. And I do feel at this moment, I think we can go all the way. We can fight for it. We can try to do a thing. But I just feel we're in that territory now where maybe we've given ourselves too much to do, and we're not in control of our destiny. We kind of need City to drop a couple more points, Liverpool to drop a couple more points, and they've got the experience factor. I'm not trying to water down the campaign. It's literally like that, really, if I'm completely honest with you guys, man.
Yeah, I feel like we have to be pretty much flawless, if you want to win this Premier League. We literally have to win about 10 to 15 games in a row, generally. Obviously, we've just done the 5. I'd say if we win every game up until the City game, and then maybe get a draw in that game, and then just win every other game that we need to, other than maybe the Old Trafford game and the Tottenham game, I think that might be enough for us to win the league.
Like taking it to VAR, these are the games, fam. Like, what are you man saying? Like, obviously, we'll get on to Porto, but it's purely Premier League. Disregard Porto. Like, what are you man saying up until that City game? On paper, we should be filled with confidence. Respectfully, Sheffield United, no excuses. That's 3 points for the taking. If we don't win,
3 points.
Everyone should hold slaps.
Sorry, DG, I have to say something, bro. We're going for the tabs. We're going for the tabs, bro.
I'm immune to it now. I've heard enough, man. I've heard enough. Listen, I'm watching stuff. I'm doing things. Allow me, man. I invited you lot as guests. Allow me, man. Allow me, man. Allow me. This is actually a lot less, man. To be fair, you can see I'm excited on the YouTube, man. Excited. I'm taking in Young Spray's podcast and whatnot. Allow me, man. Like,
hey, which one would extreme?
This guy's a fool, man. But yeah, seriously, lads, yeah, where you look at in the Prem though, because like if anyone's just listening on a podcast or something, our next Premier League game is Saturday against Newcastle. Then we've got Sheffield United. Then we play Brentford at home with Tony trying to do his thing. Then we've got Chelsea at the Emirates, which we should be winning, but top 6 games go either way, and we shot ourselves in the foot, in my opinion, at Stamford Bridge. Then you've got the big one against City. So what sort of points tally are you lot with? What are you lot expecting, at least going up into the City game, based on what we said, Mandem?
Bro, we have to win every single game up until that City game. I think
has to be done.
I think we will. I think we'll get it done as well. I think we will actually beat Newcastle, beat Brentford, and beat Sheffield. I'm quite confident in us to do
I'm nervous for Chelsea.
Chelsea game. Chelsea game. In the big games. That's my biggest worry. All of Chelsea's best games.
No, but Chelsea over the last few years, if you look at the results, we kind of got their number. So I think Chelsea are kind of worried to play us. Yeah, Chelsea are more worried to play us than we are to play against Chelsea.
Yeah,
that man could just be on that spoiling our party type of vibes.
As we were talking about needing the squad, that's why it's so important, because the timing of these games, the Newcastle game, you can look at it in 2 ways. You can say we're fortunate to be playing Newcastle at this point where they are in their downturn. I think they've been one of the worst defenses in the league since that Liverpool game where they conceded 4 goals and the amount of chances that they let others have. Bournemouth, Solanke should have had a hat-trick in that one away from home. Luton scoring 4 goals at their place. When we faced Newcastle, they were just about on the edge where they lost so many players. They just
create some chances.
Exactly. But we're facing Newcastle at a good time in terms of them. But then you can also say, with the short squad that we have, we've got a big away game in the Champions League. And then we're having a short turnaround from the Wednesday to the Saturday. We're going to need players back fit and available to allow players to come off against Porto so that they can be fresh and ready for the weekend. Because when I looked at that City game on the weekend, I thought they were a little bit jaded because of them playing 3 games in a week and not having as big of a squad as they want, that they once did have, where they could rotate a little bit more. So I think that's going to be so important when we're looking at these fixtures. Even for Brentford, we should be beating them right now with the form that they're in.
I agree.
How these fixtures fall for us, okay, that Brentford one's a bit better, but then we're looking to Porto. Are we going to make any rotation for that? And then the Chelsea game comes straight after, and a 12:30. You know how that turnaround gets for player teams sometimes in performing. Like, I don't expect us to perform at our best in that game, but I 100% expect us to get the win. Coming against Man City after an international break, who knows the condition, what each
imagine their players are traveling a lot more than ours as well, man. It's time to win at the Etihad. I'm not gonna sit here and capture you, I'm tired of it now, man.
I think you said we can't drop points at the Etihad. The least we can get is a draw, because we have to take points away from City, whether that is a draw via a win. That is a 6-pointer. Guys, do you know what's so mad? Even with last season, how we capitulated, we win one of those games against City, mathematically we win the league.
This is what I'm saying. We need to control the controllables. Or you could have lost both games against City, had you beat Brentford, Southampton, these kind of games. You run away. And that's where I meant. That's what I meant earlier when I said, as much as City are good and word all right and stuff, sometimes we need to be the masters of our own destiny. And we kind of shoot ourselves in the foot if we're talking about being title contenders. In line with the project and all of that sort of stuff, we're ticking over. But now, if I'm looking at us to win a Prem, the margins have to change, in my opinion, have to be a lot harsher, because it is harsh. At the end of the day, sometimes you play rubbish and win, sometimes you play well and lose, and every game provides context. But as you all know, bros, in May, it just matters how many wins, how many draws, how many losses, where do you qualify? That's the be all and then do, bish bash bosh. Them lot, get the trophy, or we do. So I hope we can do it. I hope the boys remember how it felt, but I just feel that we've just given ourselves too much. I think we'll look back in May and say, you know what, that December period is kind of where we lost it. But I hope to be wrong. Listen, at the minimum, I want to run it all the way to the last day of the season, because if Liverpool are in the running and for some reason 19th of May we're still in it, Everton, provided you're safe, just throw that game for us, man. And we need, we still need to do well. Old Trafford, we don't travel well there. North London derby, I don't know.
Rashford tried to show the parade, man. You know how Rashford always performs against us, unfortunately.
This is it, man. The one guy that has Benjamin White's number, actually, man. Really. Yeah.
Can I ask a question? I want to ask it to all of you as well. If we're playing a final, Champions League final, or the biggest game, Man City away, Old Trafford, Tottenham away, and all players are fit, who are you starting? Who is the best team that you rely on, that you're putting your house on to win?
Everyone fit for these games.
Everyone fit. Because this is essentially what we're going to need, isn't it?
I mean, for me, current form bias, Raya. I don't think, but there's too much between Raya and Ramsdale Bardi, obvious. Assuming everybody's fit, obviously, for me, Gabriel, Saliba, Benjamin White, Timber at left back, in midfield, Thomas Partey, Rice, Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, and Gabriel Jesus, man. If you put a gun to my head and I'm trying to get 3 points, big up Trossard, but Gabriel Jesus, man, I have to.
See, DG, this is what I was saying to you earlier with Havertz. When everyone's fit, is he really in our starting 11? That was
He's
my
not,
one.
In my opinion, unless it's a cute and clever game.
Yeah.
Then yeah.
For me, I'll probably go David Raya in goal. I'm going to be a bit different to you, DG, and I'm going to go with. I haven't seen Timber play in the Premier League for a sustained period of time yet. So
come on, man. You see, man, at Wembley, man. Sometimes you just know, bro. Sometimes you just know.
No, Timber's cold. Don't get twisted. I love Timber in it, but
bro, you're snaking him, man. You got his shirt, but the hoes ain't loyal, man.
Man's got a signed shirt and not putting the man in your best.
Cheering his brothers
in his ride or die team. You know what I mean? You ain't putting Timber in your ride or die team. You got his shirt.
He's the man that just tweets Bible scriptures. You can't put him in the team, and you want to win a must-wins myth.
It's between Timber and Tomiyasu, but I'm gonna go with Tomiyasu. I'm gonna go with Tomiyasu, and I'm gonna go with Ben White right back. So Tomiyasu, Gabriel Saliba, White. And then midfield, as DG said, Partey, Odegaard, and Rice. And then the front three, Saka, Mane, and Jesus. That's my starting 11. So the only change from yours is Tomiyasu, and it could really be Tomiyasu. Timber. You could even argue Timber could play right back instead of Ben White. I feel like it's always between those three. I don't think Zinchenko is going to be starting in a game like City away. Or
I'm not starting Zinchenko. Must win, if I'm honest. Big him up, but I don't trust you like that.
Zinchenko's not making my squad. I think for me it's going to be pretty similar. I think I'm going to go Tomiyasu left back. I love Timber, and I saw him at Wembley DG. But you know what? You just said if my whole house is on the line, and I can trust Tomiyasu. You know what I mean? I don't know how Timber's going to come back after the ACL injury. To be fair,
that's true.
That's true. Obviously, from what I saw, he was a fantastic player. But there's not many players that come back from an ACL and are better than they was before they broke up the ACL.
Don't say that, man. Don't say that, man.
Yeah,
we lost our money already then, man. He played 50 minutes.
I don't want to put the pressure on Timber as well. He's literally just come back from a 6 or 7 month injury. Like the rest of the season is about him getting back to fitness.
Yeah, but T said if everyone's fit, then he's not irrelevant. But
fit after an ACL injury, though.
Bro, he said injuries weren't the thing. If everyone man is fit, do your thing. I would listen. Tomiyasu and Timber, I think it's a calm one, innit? Like I hear you lot because Tomiyasu's maybe I'm capping a bit, but I think 1v1 job. Tomiyasu's probably the best in that Arsenal team. You see what he did against Salah, innit? So I think that one goes either way. It's just for me, Timber's a bit like he's not quite, he's probably levels to a degree with Tomiyasu defensively. He's not quite Zinchenko in the final third, but he can do a thing there. And if Partey, Rice, and my man Odegaard cook in midfield, I don't really care about the inverted things Zinchenko's coming from. Not that I'm dissing Zinni because I like him. I think there's games for you, but must-win game, trenches, Zinni's not. Did you
see that? You see the 11 that all you man have put? Only Tomiyasu Timber is the only difference. I think that it got against Man City's best 11 this season beats them.
Yeah, I do think. But again, you're asking for Thomas Partey to be fit.
Yeah, This is it.
Partey and Rice at Wembley. I didn't think they were at their brilliant best, either of them. And we still went and won by penalties, but got a draw in that game. Essentially, I feel Man City are lacking that balance at the moment defensively. That's why they're vulnerable. Chelsea creating chances, Brentford going there creating chances, Newcastle having chances after being poor in that game. Essentially, I'm seeing vulnerability there defensively, and they're kind of lacking that balance because with Kyle Walker at the moment, you can see he's not really at it anywhere.
Last thing on his mind, mate.
There's exactly Rodri is very. Rodri has like a lot of responsibility in that team, too much, I'd say, to an extent, not just defensively, but going forward as well. Yeah, we know the star quality that they have in moments like a Haaland and a De Bruyne, but I just think overall as a team package, we are level in terms of that with them, with our best 11. That's why it's so important to get them fit and ready on that pitch. Because
I have a question for you lot. So would you say that, right, you see how Rodri turns up for the big moments for City? Champions League final, so many goals this season. He scored versus Chelsea at the start of the season. Everyone thought he was going to win it. Obviously, they went back to make it 4-4. His goal versus Bayern last season as well. Would you say that Rice has that, not even ability, but do you think he has that responsibility in the team to just go and score the big goal?
Yeah.
I think he takes it on himself, if I'm honest, when the chance presents itself. I think he just got that bravado personally.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. I think Rice is a mentality monster. I think that Rice is hungry. I think he hates losing. He's one of them guys that he's probably at home, even when he's playing the PlayStation, he just hates losing in general. He's kind of got that mentality of, I'm winning regardless. So I think we've seen it this season in a few moments. Rice has just stepped up. And I think even him having to go at our own players is something that we need. Like, we've come a long way from kind of this you make a mistake, unlucky. I think it's come on, fix up. We're going for the league now. Let's be better and let's kind of... Yeah, so for me, I think Rice has definitely got an X factor about him.
Yeah, and if he doesn't, he's developing it. He saved us against Chelsea. He didn't get the headlines against City, but there was a shot off the line. Obviously, scored against United. I personally think yeah, bro. Like I think he's improving so much in the final third. Like I know he didn't get the assist, but it's kind of his driving run to go to Martinelli that set up Odegaard. I don't think Rice will ever be the bee's knees on the ball, but I think people sleep on his technical level. And when you marry that with the showmanship and just wanting to make the difference, we've struck gold, man. You know, you look at Caicedo, he looks pony at the moment, man. We've done our thing, bro. Caicedo looks big. I can't believe I did about 20 videos saying we got to sign him. I can't believe the Caicedo.
No, the thing is, I still think he's a good player, but in my opinion, in the summer I was saying this as well, Rice is definitely better than Caicedo, and I'm so happy that we opted to get Rice instead of Caicedo first. Because in my opinion, it was quite clear. Declan Rice has been playing for England and in the Prem consistently at a good level for years. Caicedo only has just above 50 appearances.
Well, he bought his mama house. He don't care no more, man. Big him up, man. He's cashed out. He's finished, man.
I think Caicedo is I think Caicedo is more of a system player. I think that at Chelsea, he's kind of been told to go in there and actually be a defensive midfielder, and I think he can't get his head around where to position himself. I think at Brighton, he's almost a system player. You do this, you do that, give it to him, give it to that. And I think he's got too much responsibility at Chelsea and he's getting found out now. And I think someone like Rice, with that.
I agree. But that said, I was still like, let's say somehow Chelsea was selling him at a cut price, maybe like 70 million. I would be more than happy to sign him.
If we got Caicedo in January of last year and got Rice in the summer, if it worked out, I think we can maneuver. But then again, I said it on my video. I did think at one time we'd try and do the Rice Caicedo thing, but then in hindsight, I don't think it would have worked. You know, consistently. I don't think Caicedo's got enough about him. No, nothing to do with him. He could be in the squad, but he ain't got enough about him, bro. And Arteta demands a lot from his individual players.
I think if you took a bit more of the defensive responsibility away from Caicedo, you'd see him thrive a bit more. Because when we looked at Brighton last season, before the ball was kicked, we thought, Caicedo, he's the defensive destroyer in there. But I think what we've learned by watching Liverpool with McAllister, he's actually better in a 6 role where he has a lot more responsibility defensively than you would even say Caicedo, because he plays in a double pivot with Enzo, whereas McAllister plays in a 6 by himself, and he's done a very good job, and Liverpool are in a title race. So I think with hindsight, we've seen that McAllister shared a lot of defensive responsibility with him, and if you put Caicedo with a Rice and you allow him to be a progressive midfielder, because I'd probably say naturally, I'd say Caicedo was probably just as good, if not better than Rice at passing as well, in progressing the ball. And that's how good he is. But he's also an aggressive 8. He's a bit more than that Kante role.
Like a ball-winning midfielder, man.
Exactly. Rather than a defensive shield in that 6. Whereas I think Chelsea have misprofiled him in
Chelsea's just a mess in general, so I have to discount it for all the players. Really.
They've misprofiled him in that, and giving Enzo the license to go, but Caicedo stay. I don't think you don't. Nah, that's not Caicedo. Because when we watched Caicedo bad us up at the Emirates, bro was playing right back, up and down, like jumping into tackles. Had a mad lead.
You're right.
I was at the stadium. It was peak to see. I was at the stadium.
It was crazy how he snapped Martinelli, sent him off the pitch. Like it was crazy what he was doing.
Yeah. So even a couple of times at Brighton, he was doing that right back. I remember Partey doing inverted right back at the beginning of the season. I wonder if it's all hypothetical. I wonder if Arteta would have looked to run that as well, man. Last question for you, then, Porto, then talk to me, man. What's our thoughts on Porto? How far do you think MANDEM are going in the Champions League? Are you excited? Are you nervous? Are you predicting a walkover? Where are we at with the Porto game, lads, man?
I'm excited. I think I'm going to say a good, comfortable 3-0 win. I think we're on red-hot form. Obviously, Porto away, it's a tough game. And obviously, these boys haven't really experienced the Champions League knockouts yet, and that's the first one. But I feel like because of that, they'll be wanting to prove a point. And we saw it the first game in the Champions League. Was it 5-0, 4-0, 6-0?
Yeah, we ran riot in the first group stage game.
Yeah, first game, Champions League, 4-0. I think it's going to be something.
I'm screaming 2-1. I'm screaming a jammy 2-1, man. Just get out of there with something, man. I still got shades of the Sporting Lisbon game. I mean, the boys, it's put up or shut up, innit? I don't know if we're going to win a Premier or a Champs. I'm pessimistic on both, but we got to fight for it. And for me, I feel the last couple of times we've gone out of Europe, mainly in the Europa League, because we ain't been in Champs in a minute, the damage is done in the first leg. The goals or not, it's all done in the first leg. Like, I know we went out on pens to Sporting, but we were peeing about it in Portugal. So I want to see us go out there and put in a statement, man. I hope Fabio Vieira's on the bench, because I just got this thing he's going to bag. He's in his homeland. He's against his old club. do your thing. Obviously, I hope you're right and we're winning 3-4-0 because the quicker we do that, Mandem can come off. We can focus for Newcastle.
Yeah.
But I'm going with 2-1, man.
I'm going to go myself. I'm going to go 2-0. I think if you look at Porto this season, they don't score goals, but on the flip side, they don't concede goals. So if you look at them, I think they're third in the Portuguese league. But if you look at the goals that they've scored, I think they've scored about 30-something goals. And then you've got Sporting who have scored 50. And then the other team that have scored 50-something. So Porto don't score goals, but they're quite solid. So
they're third in the table, 3 wins from the last 5.
And they don't score that many, but they don't concede either.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised what this Arsenal team can do.
They got 37 goals compared to Sporting in second with 58 and Benfica first with 52.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's something to be said. But even against, they've conceded 16.
This is what
might be the second lowest in their league.
This is what I'm trying to say. So on the flip side of them not scoring, they are quite solid. And I do think that Porto have the experience in the Champions League to kind of go in the game in the Champions League and not get spanked 3 or 4-0. I hope I'm wrong, and I'll be happy if it's 3 or 4-0 in the first leg, but I'm going to go 2-0.
And then the 12th man as well, Portuguese, underdog. We've been here, man.
And if they get an early goal as well, you know how some of our players might start getting shaky legs. And then
this is where I need to see trenches.
All of a sudden it's 3-0, and then,
My thing is,
Timber's prayers are working, though, man.
Yeah, my thing is like I hear what you're saying, DG, about getting it done in the first leg because it's Sporting Lisbon. We should have we were the makers of our own downfall with that, especially like and when you do that and you allow Pedro Gonçalves to score from the halfway line, you're the makers of your own downfall there. Whereas for me, if we carry this and yes, we win 2-1, I'll take a slight victory. And then we can go back to our home stadium, our home ground, where we know where we're more comfortable. We've had our European experiences of losses, of not managing games. Let us go there and get jobs done. Watching Man City, that's what they did. Whether the home tie was at home in the first leg or second, Real Madrid 1-1 draw, slapped them in the second. That's what you need to do and use that onto your benefit in Europe. You really need to. And I think, grab a win so you've got something as a cushion, not a draw, because a draw's too fine in this competition. We know that one goal changes the whole picture of things. Grab a win. I'm gonna say a 1-0. I think 1-0 to the Arsenal.
No.
Yeah, don't score many goals, but they don't concede too many.
I love that. Like you lot are saying, just come home with something in it. If we can come home with a clean sheet, our fans gassed at the Emirates, our best kind of, in fact, best atmosphere is probably a lie because you've seen the Liverpool ones in the City grounds. But typically the Champions League is when the Emirates has come to life and we're in it. And I actually want to ask you, like, proper last question before I let you lot get out of it. It's just come to me. Is there more pressure? Do you think the boys feel more pressure fighting for this league or quote unquote fighting for the Champions League? Because now we're at business end of both.
Premier League for sure. Premier League for sure. Yeah. I know the Premier League is crazy right now. 100%. Especially what happened last season and what's been building up over the years. I do feel like the players definitely feel like they have to deliver now. And I'm sure that's the message that Arteta is trying to deliver throughout the changing room. So, I would say Premier League.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think
the pressure in the Champions League is probably a huge thing as well. I'm sure Arteta wants to prove a point that what Arsenal can do in the Champions League. But sorry, what were you saying?
What was you going to say, Ash? You go.
No, I was just going to say, for me, I don't really think there's too much pressure on the Champions League. I think the pressure that we have on the Champions League is to just get past the last 16. And I know that sounds funny because obviously we're big Arsenal, we should be going for it. But if you look at our last few appearances in the Champions League, we normally get slapped out in the last 16 and it's usually embarrassing.
And these to be fair, Bayern might be out, but I'm screaming get them in the next round. But I'm on it against Tommy Tuchel, man. I can't lie. They look shaky.
Exactly. So I think the Champions League, no pressure. But I think the Premier League, I think especially after last season, I think the pressure's on. And I think whether we want to admit it or not, but I don't think we're going to have too many years to kind of go for it and push on before Chelsea start fixing up. Before Man United, I don't know about United, but before teams start fixing up, I think it's now or never for us.
Facts.
Yeah, and I also think with the Champions League, having the 2 games helps because if I was to say to you, Arsenal have to draw a game this week, Newcastle at home or Porto away, which one are you choosing?
Porto, man.
Exactly. There's always that second opportunity in the Champions League that you can rectify, especially when you've got a home tie. So there is a little bit, the shackles are off. Whereas we know how devastating it is to drop points in a title race when you got Man City who are in full flow, Liverpool now who just look like, even when they're not performing well, but they're winning games. Like that's just the levels that these guys are at. So I think there's more in the Prem for that reason.
I mean, you lot are bang on, man. Let's just hope we deal with Porto, we deal with Newcastle. Before I let you lot get out of here, yeah, man, let people know where they can find you, your content, channels, all of that sort of jazz, lads, man.
I appreciate it, DG, and it's a pleasure meeting you, Ash and Adrian, man. Fellow Gooners as well.
Likewise, man.
Always love it. So you can find me at Tariq Talks, guys, on YouTube, on Twitter. Tariq Talks. It's a weird spelling. It's not like the guy out of Power. I'm not a pagan like him, so but yeah, man, Tariq Talks, guys. Not just Arsenal content or football content as well. So Premier League content, because DG, that's the home of just pure Arsenal. You know what I mean? Yo, you're putting in a graveyard shift, DG. I see it, man.
Allow me, I'm trying, man. I'm trying to get to 7K, man. I'm trying to be like this guy's five-a-side team, mate.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. And thank you, DG. This is my first show as well. So I sort of
yeah, man. Debut settings. Don't worry, I'm not like Arteta, man. When debuts are given, we give more minutes.
And when you have your debut, pray like Urian Timber, the ACL stays. I don't know.
Yeah, man. You can find me on all my ats or Adrian Anumba on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and then obviously you can see my YouTube channel. It's called Five Guys FC. The 5 is with a 5, and then it's IVE 5 Guys FC. Yeah, that's all. That's where you can find me.
Ash,
boom. Yeah, DG, shout out yourself. Everyone else, pleasure meeting you. You can find me on TikTok, Twitter. I ain't really done a YouTube channel yet, but I'm gonna start, man. But Ashley Tizzy on everything. And yeah, man, it's my first live as well, man. And I thought it's only right to come on DG's show. You know what I mean?
No, man, thank you to all of you, bro, man. Because listen, I appreciate you lot giving up your time. It's always nice to talk with Arsenal fans, and not to be snooty, but I don't like people on my channel to talk nonsense in it. Like, you lot are free people's opinions that you can agree, you can disagree, but there's an analytical sort of emphasis. You're not just talking out your arseholes, pause. So I've got all the time in the world, man, and you lot are always more than welcome, man. Hopefully the next time we do this, the sun is still shining where Arsenal's concerned. People, you heard where all their socials are. Make sure you're following them. All their information is in the description by the time this video comes out. Man, take care of yourselves. Enjoy your evening. People, let us know your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe. And with that being said, peace.
I've been given like